The most important 15 minutes of your day? Bedtime. And when you're co-parenting, everything about it gets harder.
If you're listening, something at home has shifted. Maybe recently, maybe a long time ago. Welcome. I'm Remy. This is CoParentSpace, the calm space for parents and children living between two homes. What you'll hear is grounded in attachment science and clinical research. It isn't therapy, and it isn't medical or legal advice. If you or your child are struggling, please talk to someone who can help, in person. This is a quiet place to think. It doesn't take sides. Here's today's piece. Why bedtime carries more weight than other routines. It's evening. Your child has been in bed for 12 minutes. You can hear them shifting under the duvet. The hallway light is on. You're standing in the doorway, half in, half out. They've asked you to stay until they fall asleep, and you've said yes. And now you're here in the half dark, trying not to make a noise that would wake them up properly again. This is the most important 15 minutes of the day. Almost no one talks about it that way. This article is about why this 15 minutes matters more than the rest of the day combined, and why, when bedtime falls apart in a co-parenting family, everything else starts to feel harder too. Why bedtime is different. Bedtime isn't just another routine. It's not the morning rush. It's not lunch. It's not pickup. It is, in clinical terms, the most physiologically and emotionally vulnerable transition the child makes every day. They are letting go of consciousness. They're handing themselves over to the dark. They're processing everything that happened by feeling it again as their thinking mind softens. Children can't do this alone, especially young ones. They need a regulated adult nearby. The presence of a calm parent is what allows the child's nervous system to drop from daytime alertness into sleep. The parent doesn't have to do anything dramatic. They just have to be there, calm, predictable, recognizable. The child borrows the parent's calm to settle into their own. This is why bedtime feels different. It's not a routine. It's a co-regulation moment. In families where everything is stable, you can be slightly off at bedtime and the child still settles. The system has enough buffer. In families navigating separation, the buffer is thinner. What was tolerable a year ago is now harder. What used to be a quick, love you, sleep tight, is now a longer presence. This isn't a sign that something's wrong with your child. It's a sign that the system is asking for more of you, just for now. The 90-minute window. What happens in the 90 minutes before sleep matters more than the bed itself. The 90-minute window is the buffer between the active day and the unconscious night. What fills that buffer determines how easily the child crosses the threshold. Loud conversation, screen content, a charged phone call, an exciting new game, each adds activation. Each makes the crossing harder. The same bedtime ritual at the end of 2 different evenings produces 2 different sleeps. One evening had a rough handover, takeaway eaten in front of the TV, a phone call that ran late. The other evening was a slower meal, a bath, a book, dim lights from 7:30 onwards. The bed was the same. The child sleeping in it had a different nervous system arriving there. For separated families, the 90-minute window matters even more because there are 2 of them, one at each home. They don't have to be identical. They do have to both work. A child who has a calm 90 minutes at one home and a chaotic 90 minutes at the other has to do twice the regulation work. They feel the difference in their body before they can name it. This is the practical lever in co-parenting bedtime, not the bedtime itself, not even the bedtime ritual, the 90 minutes before. What the child is asking when they resist. Resistance at bedtime is almost never about bedtime. A child who suddenly doesn't want to go to bed, who needs another story, another glass of water, another check on the closet, who asks unanswerable questions, who cries when you leave the room, that child is asking something. They are not being difficult. They are not testing you. They are telling you, in the only language a child has, that something is unfinished from their day. In a separated family, the unfinished thing is often the day's emotional weight. They've been processing the home they're not in tonight, the parent they'll see on Friday, whether they're loved the same in both places, whether they somehow caused all of this. They don't have language for any of it, so the feeling shows up at the only place where they're alone with their inner world, bedtime. The intervention is not to talk them out of the resistance, it is to receive it. Sit with them an extra 5 minutes, hand on their back, say, "I know, I'm here. It's okay to feel things at bedtime." That's the whole intervention. They settle, they sleep. The morning is easier. This is true for 2-year-olds and 12-year-olds. The shapes of the resistance change. The mechanism doesn't. Sleep across 2 homes. A sleeping child should look the same in both homes. The bed itself can be different, the pajamas can be different, the room can be different. What needs to be the same is the texture of the moment, the pace, the dim light at the same point in the evening, the story or the song, the hand on the back as they settle, the phrase you say last. This is why the bedtime ritual that travels is one of the most important things a separating family can build. Not the room, the ritual. You as the regulator. Here's the part most parents don't realize. At bedtime, your job isn't to get the child to sleep. Your job is to be calm. The child borrows your nervous system to settle theirs. If you are present and calm, they will eventually sleep. If you are tense, frustrated, or rushed, they will absorb that tension and stay awake to process it. The calmer you are, the faster they sleep. The more frustrated you are, the slower. This is hard. It is hard precisely on the nights you most need them to sleep, because that's when you're most exhausted and most need the day to end. The practical version of this is small. Slow your own breathing in the doorway. Let your shoulders drop. Stop rehearsing what you're going to do once they're asleep. Be in the room with them, not in your head. They feel the difference within 90 seconds. If you're the one putting them to bed at the end of a day where you've also been working, sorting logistics, managing the house, and then a difficult message from your co-parent landed at 7 p.m., your nervous system needs 10 minutes before you go in. Sit on the side of the bath with the lights off. Breathe. Reset. Then walk into the bedroom. The child will settle faster from those 10 minutes than from any technique. The 15 minutes you spend in the half-dark by their bed is the most important 15 minutes of the day. It is also the most invisible. No one sees it. There's no proof of it the next morning. It doesn't show up in any photograph. The child won't remember it specifically. But the body remembers. The pattern of being settled, night after night, by a calm parent in a quiet room is the thing the child carries forward. It becomes a secure base. It becomes the way they will eventually settle themselves, years from now, on nights when they are alone. You're building that, 15 minutes at a time. That's today's piece. If it helped, the full written version, and more like it, are at CoParentSpace.com. Be gentle with yourself. I'll be here next time.